of 27. Good evening. Good evening. Tonight is the public hearing pursuant to Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code and Section 859A of the General Municipal Law. This is the Ulster County Capital Resource Corporation. The project beneficiary is the Senior Life Foundation, Inc. The project location is the town of Lloyd, Ulster County, New York. It is March 5th, 2026. It is 5:37 p.m. and the hearing location is the town of Lloyd Town Hall, located here at 12 Church Street in the town of Lloyd, Ulster County, New York. So good evening. My name is Michael Ham, and I am the chair of the Ulster County Capital Resource Corporation. I'm also the hearing officer for this public hearing being held in connection with the project, which is the subject of this public hearing. At this time, can I please ask everybody to rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. So the mission statement is as follows. The mission statement of the Ulster County Capital Resource Corporation is to promote community and economic development in Ulster County in ways that complement the work of Ulster County, primarily through the issuing and selling of bonds for nonprofit institutions. At this time tonight, I'd like to recognize Stephen Kelly, board member, and Hillary Nichols, our executive director. So today we're holding this public hearing to allow citizens to make a statement for the record relating to the involvement of the issuer with the project, the Senior Life Foundation, Inc., a Georgia non-for-profit corporation. I would like to note, as required by law, the issuer is live streaming this public hearing. We have also made arrangements for a stenographer to be present in order to accurately make a record for public comments. I will now provide information on the issuer's legal authority to hold this public hearing, a description of the proposed project, the purpose of the public hearing, and the issuer's next steps. Once I am finished, I will then open the public hearing for comments. So the legal authorization and the powers of the issuer. The issuer is a New York non-for-profit corporation created pursuant to Section 1411 of the Non-for-Profit Corporation Law of the State of New York, as amended pursuant the provisions of the Enabling Act and Revenue Ruling 57-187 and Private Letter Ruling 2009-36012. The County Legislature of Ulster County, New York, adopted a resolution on March 2nd, 2010, authorizing the incorporation of the issuer under the Enabling Act and appointing the initial members of the Board of Directors. In May of 2010, a certification of incorporation was filed with the New York Secretary of State's office, creating the issuer as a public instrument of Ulster County, New York. The proposed project consists of the following: the construction of an approximate 150,000 square foot facility or facilities called the Village in the Hudson Valley to contain approximately 197 independent living senior residents, 119 assisted living and memory care senior residences, a community clubhouse, a lift station, and related areas, all to be located on a certain real property containing an aggregate of approximately 58.67 acres of land and located at 3679 Route 9W and on Healthcare Center Lane in the town of Lloyd, Ulster County, New York. The acquisition and installation thereon and therein of machinery and equipment, hereinafter collectively referred to as the project facility, all of the foregoing to be owned and operated by the borrower for the use as a senior housing community or assisted living facility with independent living under Article 46-B of the New York Public Health Law and any other directly or indirectly related activities. The financing of all portions of the cost of the foregoing by the issuance of tax-exempt and/or taxable revenue bonds of the issuer in one or more issues or series in aggregate principal amount sufficient to pay the portion of the cost of the undertaking of the project, together with necessary incidental costs in connection therewith, then estimated to be 120 million, and in an event not to exceed $150 million. The paying of the portion of costs incidental to the issuance of the obligations, including issuance costs of the obligations, capitalized interest, and reserve funds as may be necessary to secure the obligations, the granting of certain other financial assistance with respect to the foregoing, including exemption from certain mortgage recording tax, and the making of a loan of the proceeds of the obligation to the borrower or such other persons as may be designated by the borrower or agreed upon by the issuer. Pursuant to Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986, as amended, if any portion of this obligation is intended to be issued as federally tax-exempt obligations, the interest on which will be excludable from the gross income of the holders, therefore for federal income tax purpose. Then, prior to issuing such portions of the obligations, A, the issuer must hold a public hearing on the nature and location of the project facility and the issuance of such obligations. B, thereafter, the county executive, Ulster County, New York, must approve the issuance of such obligations. Additionally, pursuant to the certificate of incorporation of the issuer, prior to the issuer providing certain financial assistance, the issuer, among other things, must hold a public hearing in accordance with the guidelines set forth in Section 859-A of the General Municipal Law with respect to the proposed project. For clarification purposes, I would like to state that the obligations of the issuer issued with respect to the proposed project will not be the obligations of the state of New York or any municipality thereof, including the county. In addition, the obligations of the issuer will not be general obligations of either the issuer or the county. The obligations are not an obligation of the county or the taxpayers of the county. After consideration of the application, the members of the issuer adopted a resolution on January 21st, 2026, authorizing the executive director of the issuer to, among other things, conduct this public hearing with respect to the proposed project pursuant to Section 147F of the Code and Section 859-A of the Act. The executive director of the issuer caused a copy of the certified preliminary inducement resolution to be mailed on February 20th, 2026 to the chief executive officers of the county, the town of Lloyd, and the Highland Central School District. That is the affected taxing jurisdictions. The executive director of the issuer caused notice of this public hearing to be mailed on February 20th, 2026 to the chief executive officers of the affected taxing jurisdictions and published on February 20th, 2026 in the Daily Freeman, a newspaper of general circulation available to the residents of the town of Lloyd, Ulster County, New York. In addition, the executive director of the issuer caused notice of the public hearing to be posted on February 20th, 2026 on the issuer's website and February 25th, 2026 on the public bulletin board located at the Town of Lloyd Town Hall, located here at 12 Church Street in the town of Lloyd, Ulster County, New York. Copies of the notice of this public hearing are available at the front of the room. Now, unless there is any objection, I'm going to suggest waiving the full reading of the notice of this public hearing and instead request that the full text of this notice of this public hearing be inserted into the record of this public hearing. The issuer will consider the proposed project at subsequent meeting of the issuer, currently scheduled for March 25th, 2026 at 9 a.m. And at such a meeting, the issuer will also consider the comments received at this public hearing. Such meeting, like all other meetings of the issuer, are open to the general public. You have written comments? One? Okay. The notice of this public hearing indicated that written comments could be addressed to Hillary Nichols, Executive Director, and at this time the issuer has received one written comment. Conclusion of issuer counsel remarks. In a moment, I will open the floor to comments for the proposed purpose of recognizing any citizen in attendance wishing to make a public comment. So let's begin. Is there anybody here to speak tonight that is a representative of the affected taxing jurisdiction?
That would be me.
Mike?
Yep. So first of all, thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it. Before I make any comments about this, got a little bone to pick with you. The way at the last IDA meeting, when you were talking about the town of Lloyd and the people who live here, was extremely disrespectful. And it's not the way you should conduct business. I was offended by what you said.
You know what? Usually I don't address anybody that talks. I usually let everybody
That's
do
fine.
it. So Amy called me up, okay? And we talked about this. I don't know what you're talking about because when I was here with the town of Lloyd for that public hearing, this was one of the most respectful meetings that I've had in a long time. I just came out of another one from a public hearing somewhere else. Had nothing to do with you. So I don't really know what you're referring to.
After Amy spoke to you, did you go back and rewatch the video? Did you rewatch that meeting?
Here I was disrespectful to somebody?
No, in your meeting, in the IDA meeting.
No, we had nothing to do with the town of Lloyd, what was taken out of context at that time. But we can talk off channel
Okay.
on that if you would like.
Yeah, no, because what you said was offensive, and the way you
No,
represented.
I don't believe so because I tell you what, I conduct myself professional for a long time handling this stuff.
Comments
And-
about rusty pitchforks.
But you know what, you know what? So I will be clear on this. The pitchfork had to do with a meeting that was somewhere else. It had nothing to do with Lloyd. And it actually happened. And we were all present for it.
But the thing is that didn't happen at our meeting, and you pulled us into it.
No. We didn't say that. Nobody said that. I didn't say anything. I said, oh, the pitchfork, I remember. I really don't want to do this back and forth. This is not what I'm here for. Okay, but I wanted to address that. Okay. I've always handled myself every day in my regular business life and what I do here is the IDA. I'm very professional on how I handle it. I watch what we do. I control it. Something was said. I said, oh, the pitchfork, and it had nothing to do with the town of Lloyd.
Before my only request is before we speak about it, go back and watch the video. Go back and watch the IDA video.
You know what? I will. Thank you.
And I appreciate that. As far as the project, the villages, it's been a project that's been going on in our town for many years. I believe it started in 2019. We've had a lot of delays and a lot of issues with it. If approving this bond gets the project up and off the ground, I'd be supportive of that, but there's a lot of things that still have to be done by the developer as far as infrastructure stuff that they agreed to. We have a pump house that needs to be repaired. There's many things. So and as long as they're going to meet the affordability portion of our town zoning, I'm all for going forward with the bond. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Penny.
Yeah, I apologize. If you're going to speak, could you just state your name? All right. Next speaker, is it Frank?
No, we're still doing affected.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lacey. I apologize.
Jurisdiction.
Yeah.
It's Lacey Maffei, Maffei. I'm a council person for the town.
Hi. We do all watch the videos in the town of Lloyd, so you will know that, just FYI, we are a big posting of videos and rewatching videos and going over in detail. My concern primarily is more collaboration between the IDA, if this is approved, and the municipality, so that we can ensure, as some of the things that Mike mentioned, that were promised by the developer actually happen. I'm in support of a bond if it means that you have the ability to claw back things if they do not meet their obligations, and I'm appreciative of that. You have a lot more power than we do as a municipality in a lot of ways, the county, to do that, especially when there's so much money involved. So I would be supportive of this bond as long as there was a promise that the municipality is taken seriously on what transpires between the developer and our planning board and our conversations with, what needs to happen in order for this to be a functioning project within the town and not a drain on resources.
Okay. That's it? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so if there's a representative from the senior living, and you're going to speak on, is it Armin? Armin's going to speak?
Yeah. Well, thank you. I didn't make prepared remarks, but
Okay.
I think it's appropriate to speak on behalf of the Senior Life Foundation, which is the 501(c)(3), which will be the tax owner of this facility, as well as the developer, Mark Sanderson, who's the prior to, principal owner of the Village in the Hudson Valley LLC, which owns the property. I represent Celadon Financial Group. We're the financial advisor and the underwriter of the bond transaction. We are going to be underwriting what will be probably north of $130 million of tax exempt and taxable bonds for the benefit of 197 cottages that are independent living facilities. This community, the senior community, would be 197 cottages and about 119 assisted living and memory care facilities in aggregate. It's very important to know that both the developer and the new owner that's going to be buying this asset to operate it recognizes that the hamlet of Highland and the town of Lloyd are going to be constituents of this facility. And it was built with the express intent of satisfying the missing middle market of housing that's taking place for both working families and retirees. And the structure and the event, there's a lot of property, a lot of senior living facilities going up right now that are being financed with municipal bonds. Woodland Pond is one that's very opulent, it's very high end, it's very expensive. Down the road in Tarrytown, Sunrise is putting in a property, very high end, very expensive, out of the reach of most middle class families. And the developer and the sponsor have put together a program which should address that need, where the citizens can live their lives in this community and stay in this community into their later years and service them both as they are an active adult, senior, as well as being one that needs care and assistance. Not a nursing home, not hospice, but non-skilled but assisted living facility. Price point is, if we believe in the marketplace, going to be in the realm of what's out there, at least on the lower end, but providing a superior level of service, which I think the town will enjoy. Additionally, we have the owner's rep here, Paul Cohen, who's a local resident, who's known to the community. He'll be the liaison between the parties through the construction period to make sure that the project is adhering to the local code, both the existing and the new code that's going to be imposed on the community. Additionally, to show that the town and the developer in sync as a partnership. There have been discussions where the development is going to afford the town to keep their volunteer fire and rescue equipment at the facility free of charge for a period of time until we can put a permanent place for them at the site, whether it be on site there, be servicing the community. I think this thing will only work is if there's a partnership between the township and developer and the operator. There'll be some extra services like this facility will have a adult daycare facility that has the ability to expand to service the community. And along those lines, I think the general overarching approach is that this will be a partnership between the township and the developer and ultimately the owner and operator. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. I know this has been a very dramatic process. In fact, I think 2019, I think you short dated it as probably closer to 204, 205. It's almost 20 years, 18 years. That's the cost of doing business in New York State, getting the approvals that required. This went back to the state for approvals of many, many, many levels. We have a fully entitled facility that has been approved by the state. We brought in Consigli Construction to be the project manager and guarantee completion bond provider to make sure it gets done on time and on budget. And they've done very, very high profile projects in the area. They've done some big projects. They just got the project completed, financed. That's not going to complete, but it was financed $650 million down in Riverdale, New York, the Jewish home, the Hebrew home there. Very high profile portfolio of projects that they've been involved in. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. Appreciate your concerns and thank you for the opportunity to join this community and be participating in this project.
Thank you. Okay.
Here's just the rest of the list.
Oh, you got the rest of them. So at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing for public comment. It is.
But you want to close it? Is there any more public comment?
No, we do. Yeah. It is 5:57 p.m. By the way of operating rules, the purpose of this public hearing is to solicit input with respect to the proposed project. We are not here to answer any questions, although in the course of the hearing, we will consider questions if we have the information to answer the questions, and there is sufficient time to consider such questions. We ask each of you to sign in prior to the start of the public hearing and indicate whether you wish to make a comment on either the nature and location of the project facility or the proposed financial assistance being contemplated by the issuer with respect to the proposed project, including but not limited to the issuance of the obligations for the purpose of assisting and financing the proposed project. I will begin by asking for comments from the sign-in sheet in order. If following the order of the sign-in sheet, anyone still wishes to comment, please raise your hand and I will call on you. For all comments, please wait to be recognized. Once you're recognized, please stand, state your name and address for the record. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes so that everyone in present can have a chance to comment for the record. If your comments mirror those of someone who has already spoken, you may so indicate and relinquish the podium to another speaker so that all views represented at this hearing may be heard. When everyone has had the opportunity to speak, I will conclude the public hearing. A record of this public hearing will be prepared and reviewed by the members of the issuer in connection with the issuer's consideration of the proposed project. Also, as indicated above, a copy of the record of this public hearing will also be presented to the county executive. Again, the purpose of this public hearing is to solicit public comment. We are not here to answer any questions. However, we will, in the course of this public hearing, consider questions if we have the information to answer the questions, and there is sufficient time to consider such questions. So at this time, let's see here. Is it Frank?
Franco.
Franco.
Good evening, everybody. Franco Zani, ZANI-FRANCO. This is a good project for the town of Lloyd. Planning board put in a lot of hours and we're pretty sure we have to where we need it to go. It's good because what the residents need to do is look at the long-term benefits for Lloyd as far as sales tax, bringing in tourists to visit their families. There's a shortage of beds in nursing homes in this area. Most of the people have to be put over in Dutchess County. This is good for this area and keeping people that grew up here. Like I said, it's a long-term benefit, and that's what the people have to look at. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Anybody else wants to speak? Is there anybody that's here that wants to speak? Everybody else here has indicated they don't want to speak. Sure.
Mark Reynolds, Southern Ulster Times. I just wondered if you could explain what exactly it's a bond that the IDA is considering for the project in terms of outlay of money and time period. Do you have that at the moment?
No, I don't.
Do you know?
It's a bond.
Do you know when?
No pilot, just
No
a bond.
pilot, just a bond.
Just a bond.
And do you know how long that bond might be for?
No.
And is it about the 130 million that the gentleman talked about?
Do this and move on.
Yeah, these are municipal bonds.
Yeah, it's not $130 million bond.
I think if you have specific questions, maybe make a
public comment and then we can answer
I
questions. if we
didn't have
have
any
some.
comment other than just I wanted to a little clarity, that's all.
There should be applications up at the front. If not, there's a QR code and the application is online that may have some of that
All right.
information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? So if there's no further comments, I will now close this public hearing at 6:01 p.m. Thank you all for attending.